Let's get perspective now, okay? Combs' friend of more than 35 years.
The way Diddy put it essentially was that he can make people go missing.
Listen, between Shannon Sharpe growling and grunting with Michelle and supposedly Meek Mill and Diddy, I don't ever have to hear another audio clip for the rest of 2024.
How much more trouble is Diddy in right now, in your estimation, compared to when he was first arrested and indicted on these charges?
I think from the outside looking in, it appears like it's gotten worse. From the prosecutor's perspective, I think it's largely the same.
In what is rapidly becoming one of the most controversial celebrity crossovers in recent memory, former NFL star and prominent sports commentator Shannon Sharpe finds his name unexpectedly linked to the escalating legal turmoil surrounding music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The allegations against Diddy have painted a troubling picture.
Sean is rough, he hits women, and you do what he says or he will punish you, and that's why Cassie and others were not willing participants at the freak-offs.
Dawn was testifying about a couple of really interesting things. She talked about a guy named One Stop, who was the guy who supplied Diddy with lots of drugs, ketamine, cocaine, Molly, weed. And Diddy would get a Louis Vuitton bag, one of those bags, a toiletry bag, and he would put the drugs in there, take it all around the world. And then she was asked, well, did you ever see Diddy pay One Stop money? She said yes. But on cross-examination, they said, you told the government you never saw Diddy pay money to One Stop. And she said, look, I don't remember that. And it's true, witnesses sometimes don't remember. That's an important part for prosecutors because it goes to racketeering. She also mentioned guns. She said she has seen Diddy carrying guns around his waist. But then she was asked, did you ever see him brandish a gun? She said no. Did you ever see him shoot a gun? She said no. And again, the specter of all of this is racketeering.
Of a man accused of abusive behavior, including physical assaults on women and a pattern of manipulation and control over their lives. This situation has raised significant questions about the nature of his relationships with individuals like Cassie Ventura, who have been portrayed as unwilling participants in Diddy's alleged misconduct.
If Cassie called you today, would you answer?
Cassandra Ventura's one-time best friend, Carrie Morgan, facing questions outside court Monday. Morgan testifying inside that she witnessed Sean Combs beat Ventura twice and alleges Combs even attacked her, prompting her and Ventura to sever ties. The jury also seeing these disturbing images of Ventura, including swollen lips, bruised eyes, and bruises about her body. The images considered key evidence in prosecutors' trafficking case against Combs. The defense arguing the couple was in love, though their relationship was flawed and fraught with hostility. Combs' lawyers saying Ventura willingly took part in so-called freak-off sex parties. Newly released evidence images showing much of what prosecutors say were part and parcel of those freak-offs. Baby oil, lubricant, cash, and drugs, including ketamine and MDMA. The prosecution says these images were from Combs' arrest last September at the Park Hyatt in Midtown.
And she could never, he had the power dynamic. Not only was he 17 years older, but he called the shots. She couldn't do anything without his approval. He had her entire career in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, there's also all these arguments that, well, why didn't she leave? She did. We have evidence of her attempting to leave on multiple occasions, right?
And people have to factor in there's something called Stockholm Syndrome. If life was so simple, it would be black and white. It is not. Life exists primarily in those gray areas. She was afraid. This man pulled guns on her, which she admitted today, and threatened her, her mom, her family. What would you do if you were the person that stood between you, your family getting hurt, or you enduring another day of this? How many of us would not sacrifice ourselves for the betterment of our family? People do it every day. But in this situation, because he was wealthy and they saw her living what appeared to be a glamorous life, people are judging her improperly.
Recent testimonies in court have revealed harrowing accounts from Cassie's friend, Carrie Morgan, who testified that she witnessed Diddy physically assault Cassie on multiple occasions. Morgan's testimony included shocking details of Diddy beating Cassie, which ultimately led to a severing of ties between the two women. The jury was presented with disturbing images of Cassie, showcasing her swollen lips, bruised eyes, and various other injuries.
So Shannon Sharpe's bodyguard just dropped a whole bomb on everybody. He came out and tweeted, "F that NDA. Shannon met that girl when she was 17 at a damn Diddy party,"
which the prosecution has deemed key evidence in their case against Diddy. In contrast, the defense has argued that the relationship between Diddy and Cassie was complicated by love, despite its evident flaws, and that Cassie willingly participated in what have been described as Diddy's sex parties. Newly released evidence has further complicated the narrative, with images surfacing that allegedly depict drugs.
There's not enough to say that he committed racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking. Now, prostitution across state lines is an easier charge to prove.
And Combs' former assistant, David James, is set to resume his testimony today after recounting just yesterday that Ventura told him that she could not leave Combs because he oversees so much of her life. James also saying, too, that Combs told him that he found Cassandra Ventura to be, quote, moldable.
Cash and other paraphernalia associated with Diddy's arrest last September at the Park Hyatt in Midtown Manhattan. Prosecutors argue that these images illustrate a pattern of predatory behavior that has persisted for years. They contend that Diddy maintained a significant power dynamic over Cassie, controlling not only her career, but also her personal life, which made it exceedingly difficult for her to extricate herself from the relationship.
Who you think gonna walk? Somebody got to take the L for this year. Is it gonna be Diddy? Is it gonna be Dirk? Is it gonna be Shannon Sharpe? Or he just gonna settle? Because he freaky too. But somebody got to take the L this year. Hear what I'm saying now? Dirk, Diddy, or Shannon Sharpe. Oh shit, they just got Chris Brown. Shout out to Chris.
This dynamic is further complicated by the psychological phenomenon known as Stockholm Syndrome, where victims may develop emotional bonds with their captors, making it even more challenging for them to leave abusive situations. Amidst this backdrop, a shocking twist has emerged in Diddy's already intense legal battle. Leaked footage allegedly from Sharpe's own bodyguard has surfaced, creating a stir across social media platforms. The video reportedly shows Sharpe at one of Diddy's notorious private parties.
Taking the stand first today was Dawn Richard, again, who also testified last week. She is a former protege of Diddy and a member of his girl group, Danity Kane. Dawn testified that she saw Diddy frequently, violently attack his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. Dawn says he would punch her, choke her, drag her, slap her in the mouth. I saw him kick her, punch her in the stomach. She said the violence could be prompted by a variety of reasons. It could be Cass speaking up for herself. It could be random. We didn't even know where it came from. Dawn told the jury that she saw members of Combs' security staff also witness him be violent towards Cassie. Quote, they wouldn't react. They wouldn't do anything. Charges should be brought against them too.
She, Carrie testified that she was her best friend and told her, you need to get out of this relationship, you need to leave. And she said, I can't. He controls my career, my apartment, my car, everything, and I cannot leave. That ties everything together so far for the government. It brings her to the point where she can't get out. She's stuck in this relationship, and it ties, so it brings into everything in that the government needed and ties that all together with the trafficking. So it's what the government needed to tie their case together so far.
Gatherings that have long been whispered about, but rarely brought into public view with such intensity. The nature of the footage has raised eyebrows, with some speculating that it may suggest Sharpe was present during ritualistic or highly inappropriate activities. This has led to pressing questions about Sharpe's involvement in Diddy's world of celebrity excess and whether this footage could place him in a legal or ethical grey zone. As the trial unfolds, the public's reaction has been nothing short of intense and deeply divided.
Two topics I want to discuss. The J-Lo of it all, because it is relevant. Cassie even mentioned holding an arm for him to go into a club, which is the same thing everyone suspected J-Lo had to do.
Their initial contact was in regards to a employee-employer relationship. He converted. He put her under contract for a 10-album deal, which anyone in the music industry knows is equivalent to kidnapping and servitude. 10 albums? It would take you a lifetime to complete that. You have people whose body of work right now is 30 years and they have 10 albums. 10 albums means he owned her. And it is not hard for her to dispute that fact because look where she is. She got a record deal in 2006. She put out one album. This man was on top of the world at that time. Where are the other 9 albums? It was never his intent to put those albums out. So this is where the racketeering falls into place. You converted this professional contract into servitude and used this woman for your pleasure at your will, and then abused her on top of it. You cannot bridge the lines between professionalism and dealing with someone who's your subordinate. It creates a quid pro quo kind of situation.
Some fans of Sharpe have come to his defense, arguing that the footage is being taken out of context, while others are demanding answers regarding his presence at such gatherings. The scrutiny surrounding Sharpe has intensified, with social media users analysing his past appearances, interviews, and podcast episodes for any signs or clues about his relationship with Diddy. The question of whether Sharpe has distanced himself from Diddy, or if he was merely an innocent guest at these parties, has become a focal point of discussion.
It's not like a group of kids in a neighborhood all conspired to start, moving some illicit material, some illicit white stuff in and out of the neighborhood to make a few bucks on the side. And then, the prosecutor has to prove that there's somehow an organization here that's engaged in some sort of illegal activity. What the feds have said in this case is that Diddy had this business empire already up and running and selling and clothing and making records and doing all this stuff that he's known to have been doing and making millions and millions of dollars. Everybody knows that the enterprise existed. All you have to prove then is that there was something nefarious and illegal taking place under the umbrella of Sean Combs Enterprises or any of, Star Island, whatever he has different sub businesses and everything. So that's where he's really hamstrung himself. He's his own worst enemy. He's a victim of his own success.
The ongoing legal troubles for Diddy have revealed a troubling culture of silence and unchecked power within elite entertainment circles. As more individuals come forward with allegations against Diddy, the implications extend beyond him to others in his orbit, including Sharpe. The leaked video has sparked speculation about who else may be implicated and what this means for public trust in figures we once held in high regard.
It's, the coercive aspect of it as well. And that's really what I think Natanya was getting at, is that you're trapped. You're not able to do what you would ultimately like to do. You're not able to enjoy the freedom that you would otherwise be able to enjoy, except for the fact that there's this giant 800-pound gorilla in the form of Diddy and his business enterprise kind of suffocating you and holding you to the ground. That's what Natanya's getting at. And yes, that could be problematic.
And here's the deal. Not only was he her boss, not only did he use her for his own deviant desires, but then he housed her separately. So how is she your girlfriend when you make her, on one occasion, she admitted that he had beat her up.
The intersection of celebrity culture, power dynamics, and accountability is under intense scrutiny. And the outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications. As the trial progresses, the stakes are rising, and the potential fallout could impact not only Diddy, but also Sharpe and others associated with him. The legal landscape is shifting, with prosecutors building a case that includes allegations of racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking. The prosecution's strategy hinges on establishing a pattern of predatory behaviour that has persisted over the years.
some names, like just by first name.
Yeah.
Which we have now learned that several of the guys were in the TV show Gigolos. Several of the guys that were photographed and like released were on that show. There's even a guy on there that was like a very popular Miami promoter. One of them they named as being the that was a part of the Intercontinental beatdown. So one of those guys was a part of that, which you would assume that maybe that guy's going to testify. I mean, don't we want to know, like, from the third person, like, what exactly went down that day?
And the testimonies of former associates and friends of Diddy are critical to their case. In the courtroom, the atmosphere is charged with tension as witnesses recount their experiences. One key witness, Dawn Richard, a former protege of Diddy and a member of the girl group Danity Kane, testified about the violence she witnessed during Diddy's relationship with Cassie. Richard described instances where Diddy would punch, choke, and drag Cassie.
We got Jaguar right after K. They said you're supposed to be in this motherfucker.
Well, I'm up in this
You here? Wow, they done brought everybody. How are you?
The Jaguar Race Show. Here we
Okay,
are.
oh, you got some security too? Oh, wow, Jaguar came with security too.
Painting a vivid picture of the abusive environment that surrounded their relationship. She noted that the violence could be triggered by various factors, including Cassie speaking up for herself, and highlighted the complicity of Diddy's security staff, who allegedly witnessed the abuse but failed to intervene. The defense has attempted to counter these claims by arguing that Cassie willingly participated in the lifestyle Diddy provided.
You want to know what's going to happen next? No more filter. From this point forward, any word that I say, I ain't holding back. And I ain't saying alleged either. Y'all said I was lying the first time. Now it turns out I'm telling the truth. You still don't want to admit that I was right, but you don't want to admit that you was wrong. I'ma just keep ruining your lives with the truth.
And here we go.
Shout out to Cat Williams. Yeah. Shout out to Lunell Campbell.
That's good.
Shout out to Kanye Ye West. Shout out to my very good friend, Fred Hampton Jr., the chairman of the board for the Black Panther Party. Free them all. Power to the people.
Suggesting that their relationship was one of mutual consent, albeit flawed. However, the prosecution has emphasized the power imbalance inherent in their relationship, arguing that Diddy wielded significant control over Cassie's life, making it nearly impossible for her to leave. The leaked footage involving Sharpe has added another layer of complexity to the case.
Jaguar Wright is at Diddy's trial. I get a lot of people asking, where is Jaguar Wright all the time? And I just found out this morning she actually made it to Diddy's trial. I really feel like this is a full circle moment because I literally remember about 6 or 7 years ago when Jaguar Wright said that Diddy was a trafficker before we knew anything. So honestly, it came to a shock to me this morning being able to see her be present at Diddy's trial, and she is going to get to watch this in real time.
The video, reportedly leaked by Sharpe's own bodyguard, shows him at a dimly lit, exclusive gathering at one of Diddy's properties. Eyewitness accounts suggest that the atmosphere captured in the footage features suggestive undertones, with guests engaging in behaviour that some interpret as symbolic or ritualistic. While the authenticity and full context of the video remain unverified,
It's day 7 of the Diddy trial, and Diddy's former personal assistant, David James, is giving his cross-examination testimony against Diddy. Looks like Diddy's team is dropping that he might be a co-conspirator that ended up taking a deal to snitch on Diddy. Diddy's lawyer starts out by saying, "You didn't tell this all the first time. They told me to stop, to not say anything that would incriminate me. Look at the notes from your interview, read it to yourself, and then look up at me. Okay. How do you recognize Suge Knight? I listened to hip-hop. Were you drinking or smoking? No, sir. Your mind was clear? As clear as it could be, working 20 hours a week at 4 a.m. D-Rock opens the door. Suge Knight is a few cars over. Window open. D-Rock says, I'm Biggie's boy, and then Suge recognizes him and gives him a dab. What's a dab? A handshake. I love mundane questions. Where did you travel with Mr. Combs? Ibiza, London, St. Tropez? Were these vacations business oriented? What were you hired as? A personal liaison, but I was the personal assistant. He met with a high-level roster of people, right? Second understatement of the day. He met with a who's who. It's important that he be prepared for these meetings, right? Yes. It was important that he be on time. No, we'd change meetings to fit the schedule all the time. When he didn't want to show up at a certain time, he had security because people wanted to touch him, right?
Its mere existence, combined with Diddy's ongoing legal troubles, has ignited a firestorm of speculation and concern. In the court of public opinion, silence often speaks volumes. Sharpe has remained largely silent on the matter, refraining from issuing a public statement or addressing the footage on any of his platforms.
Sharpe has now had another accuser come out against him, this woman right here, Michelle. But the one that the bodyguard is referring to is Gabby. So Gabby's attorney, Tony Busby, and Shannon Sharpe have been going back and forth, releasing some really condemning evidence from both sides. Then Michelle came forward with her accusations, and the response was that she is absolutely obsessed with Shannon and even conspired to murder her own husband so she could be with him. Then Shannon's own bodyguard came out and said, F that NDA, and that's a non-disclosure agreement where you say that you're not going to say anything about anything that you saw or witnessed. But he said, yo, Shannon met this girl when she was 17 years old at a Diddy party. This whole situation just keeps getting wilder and wilder, and I feel like Cat Williams might have been warning Shannon specifically when he was on the Shay Shay podcast that this was all about.
This silence has opened the floodgates of speculation, with social media sleuths analysing every recent photo, podcast appearance, and interview for signs of his relationship with Diddy. The question remains, will Sharpe address the situation publicly, and what further revelations may come to light? As the trial progresses, the stakes are rising, and the potential fallout could impact not only Diddy, but also Sharpe and others associated with him. The legal landscape is shifting, with prosecutors building a case that includes allegations of racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking.
So you're telling me that it's a strategy to make money by, personally, getting into a relationship. I think it's a shakedown. I think it's a shakedown. What do you think, this OnlyFans girl's she has integrity? Are you high? Integrity? Nah. I just don't understand. I think this is a fucking shakedown. I know I said I was going to reserve my, but I think I just got a little emotional. Now that you said that, I think it's a shakedown.
It doesn't seem right.
I think it's a shakedown. And isn't this attorney hasn't he gone after other high-profile men as well?
The prosecution's strategy hinges on establishing a pattern of predatory behavior that has persisted over the years, and the testimonies of former associates and friends of Diddy are critical to their case. The implications of this case extend beyond the individuals involved. They reflect a broader societal issue regarding the normalization of abusive behavior within elite circles. The culture of silence and protection that has long shielded powerful figures is being challenged, and the rise of whistleblowers and social media is bringing hidden truths to light.
Shannon Sharpe, P. Diddy, Tupac Shakur, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, Kobe Bryant, and the list goes on. Is it me? Or am I tripping? I want to know, excuse me, I want to know why would a get some money when they start getting some money, right? They all of a sudden become a They never had no history of or nothing. And 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, a man with some money ain't got to nobody because he can just go buy whatever he want. He can go buy the.
Let's get perspective now, okay? Combs' friend of more than 35 years, all right? The idea that you don't know somebody after that amount of time is an impossibility. The question is, will he be truthful?
As the trial unfolds, the public is left to ponder the deeper questions surrounding accountability, power, and the consequences of silence in the face of wrongdoing. In conclusion, the unfolding drama surrounding Shannon Sharpe and Sean Diddy Combs is a complex tapestry of celebrity culture, power dynamics, and the quest for accountability. As the trial progresses and more revelations come to light, The implications for all involved could be profound, reshaping public perceptions and challenging the status quo within the entertainment industry. The intersection of fame, influence, and ethical responsibility is under intense scrutiny, and the outcome of this case may serve as a pivotal moment in the ongoing conversation about accountability in the world of celebrity.